I'm
Hey
ready.
everybody, finally we are live. How you doing? GameHounds podcast. I'm Edie Sellers. Got Nick DiNicola.
Hey.
We are just getting ready. Nick says that you
Oh,
would care about my story of
hang on.
making a garden.
Well, you do that. I'm gonna talk to my dad.
Your dad?
He's just calling me because I called him
Oh,
previously.
no, put him on speaker. I want to hear your dad.
No. Yeah. Hello.
Oh, Nick. I'm going to mute him. So, no, Nick said that you would care that I have gotten into gardening. I don't think you would. Yes, I have started gardening. I have become that woman that I have intentionally resisted being. There's something in me that says that you cannot be a 50-plus-year-old woman gardening and a gamer. But, I'm defying odds. So, Nick and I are just finishing up our stuff for the show. How have you all been doing? By the way, if you are watching now, whether it's live or not live, please don't forget, hit the like and subscribe button. It is like, subscribe, bell, wherever you are. Because we're on Twitch, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. So all of the little things you have to hit are different. But please do me a favor right now. Go to the like and subscribe. It helps a lot. We have AC Ray. No. Auto QQ says, "Hey Edie, do you have a Steam Deck to play while in your garden?" Hey, that would make me feel a little bit more okay with catching the gardening bug at my age. See, if you're 20 and you start a garden, you're like, "Oh, how cool, how cute." When you're 50 and starting a garden, you're like, "Oh yeah, that's what old ladies do." No, I do not have a Steam Deck. Honestly, I am tempted, but I'm never really out of the house anymore. I just don't go out of the house. COVID, working from home, tethered to dogs, all of those things keep me from being in the house or away from the house and needing a Steam Deck. And if I don't go away from the house, I'd rather play a console or my PC, or technically a Mac. Yes, I am a Mac gamer. I'm also a PC gamer, but the PC is a laptop. I'd rather play on my big screen where you are. So, Nick and I are getting ready for the show. If you are listening to the show as a podcast, apologies again. I've got to set myself an alarm for putting the podcast out in the podcast form. If you do want to listen to the show, the show is available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, all the major podcasts, and this is as an audio podcast after the fact. It's available at all of those places. I just haven't ever gotten, now that it's a new thing added to my life, I keep forgetting to upload the shows to the audio stream. I'm going to stop that this week. I'm going to try. I have to figure something else out. Like maybe I need AC Wraith. Maybe I need you to call me. Send me a text. Remind me. Put out the show. I really should do it right after the show. But after these shows, all I want to do is go and sit down and game. Speaking of which, were any of you here to watch Nick be a complete dick while we played Crusader Kings? I introduced him to Crusader Kings 3. We went back to it last Sunday. We will talk about this in detail together. Yeah, Nick is a real asshole. If you ever want to see Nick as Nick the asshole, this is Nick the asshole. I'm literally teaching him how to play. And then he starts a murder scheme on me, which would end the game because I'm hosting the show or the game, and I don't have an heir. He just doesn't get it that's not how to play the game. Thank you for reminding me. Patreon. We are 100% patron funded, meaning that if it's not for you guys with your donations, with your patronage, this would not be happening. We would not have a video show. We might still have the audio show, but the video show we would not have. And obviously, a lot more people are watching on video than they are. Actually, I don't know about that. I haven't looked in a while to see what the podcast is. But the video show is you guys and me, like this. So yeah, that's for you. And thank you. $1 a month is all we ask for to shoot our way. If you figure it out, about 4 shows a month, that comes out to 25 cents a show. And that's what keeps us busy. That's what keeps us floating. We use your money very wisely, to say the least. So if you're ever interested in becoming a patron, we would very much appreciate it. Thank you to all of our patrons. Yeah, go to that link, right? See that link right there? Right, that one? Go to that link. And thank you for the link to Libsyn. There is our show that you can find on Libsyn. We no longer use Spreaker because Spreaker is our apparently they were sold to iHeartRadio and then they got evil. Don't know why that surprises me. But yeah, thank you, AC Wraith, for that. And again, thank you to AC Wraith for being our link bitch. He provides all of the links. We have AC Wraith in the chat room. We have, is it Auto QQ? Where's the rest of us? What? I want to take a poll. Who's had COVID so far? I got exposed earlier this week to someone that I know was 100% positive. And I think I actually might have mentioned it. Maybe it was last week because we were face to face. I have tested myself several times since then. Still COVID negative. Knock on wood. But who here has had the big C and lived to tell the tale? Nick, I'm assuming, is not COVID positive yet. I mean, he's not sick at all, even though his girlfriend with whom he lives caught COVID. Anybody else? AC Ray says, as far as I know, I've never had it. The booster put me out for like a week, but that's it. Yeah. Which booster did you get? Did you get Moderna or did you get Pfizer? I had 3 Pfizers and a Moderna. And the Pfizers, nothing. The Moderna, whoo. Yeah, that whacked me out. So if you want one that actually gives you a good immune reaction, get the Moderna. If you feel like you've missed out with all of your vaccines because your Pfizer went down like a glass of cool water, get a Moderna. That'll change your opinion. I'm concerned about Nick. Yeah, see, you had Moderna. Moderna is a cruel mistress. It is a right royal bitch, but it's also good to know your body is ready. What is that? It's tingling. That's how you know it's working. That's kind of what Moderna is. It tingles because it's working. I'm a little concerned Nick hasn't come back. Let me text him. Are you coming back? Is there a family emergency? God, I hope there's not a family emergency. AC Ray says, on the bright side, that mistress is part Dolly Parton. What do you mean? Dolly Parton? I mean, he's got a southern twang and a heart of gold. That it's, living forever and still a star. Oh, that's right. She helped fund it. That's right. I forgot about that. Dolly's vaccine. Let's see what's going on. And really nothing going on this week. I have just in the, ongoing saga of my life since last year. I have scheduled a vacation for the 12th through the 19th. Oh, he's wishing him a happy Father's Day. Jesus Christ. I get it. I wish I could spend 15 minutes wishing my brother or my father a happy Father's Day. But yeah, unless your father's come back to life. So yeah, I'm going to be out of the area on the 12th through the 19th. So we will have a dark weekend that week. You're not going to want to talk. I'm not going to want to talk about games. I mean, I have podcasted when I have gone to Iceland, but I was also in the shock part of that process. If you are new to the channel, last year, July 14th was the day that my husband died. So that is why we are going to be dark, by the way. Nick, welcome back. Let me turn your microphone on. Dude.
What?
You were gone like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am going away. And even though I did podcast from Iceland when I went away from last year, I think I'm just going to take that day off. So you are now warned that we will be dark. Let me pick it up. It is going to be July 17th. We will not have a show. So it's on your calendars. So now I've been literally vamping for the last freaking 30 minutes. Nick, can we do the show, please?
No, hang on a second. Let me go. Has AC Wraith put it? Groom my stubble.
No, do not groom your stubble. We're starting the show. All right. Check. Nick?
Okay, stubble is groomed.
Right. We have
I have Shepard to groom my stubble.
All right. We have waveforms. Let's start. Let me get to my music. Let's start the show.
And these podcasters are big fat funny mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
Mics are hot. Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode. What episode is it? It is episode 643. We are recording this on Sunday, June 19th, 2022. I'm Edie Sellers. With me is Nick DiNicola.
Hello.
And his faithful cat Shepard, who is... If you're not watching the show live, you wouldn't know. If you're listening to the podcast, you wouldn't know it. But Shepard is on Nick's lap, grooming his stubble for him.
Yeah. He's just nuzzling my chin.
Because that's what cats do.
I think he enjoys when my stubble is like this specific length.
Because you're a cat scratcher.
Yeah,
you're literally a human cat scratcher.
It's just long enough for him to get scratched by it.
Yeah. So, happy Father's Day to all of you for fathers. Happy Juneteenth to everybody else, and including all fathers. Nick does not have Juneteenth off. I do have Juneteenth off. I'm really surprised you don't.
After the podcast, I'll go open the work laptop, see if there's an email about it. But I checked the holiday calendar on Friday, and it had nothing for Juneteenth.
That's really surprising because it is, a federal holiday.
Yeah.
It is a legal holiday now. It's just people aren't asking for it. My company is super good about that. They actually want you to take more holidays. They do. They want you to take as many holidays as possible. To the point of where they mandate that you take PTO the week of Thanksgiving. So they give you Thursday and Friday off of Thanksgiving, but they want you to take Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as well.
My work mainly does that for the Christmas and New Year's. They're shut down for 2 weeks.
Nice.
Of those 2 weeks, we get 4 days that are paid holidays.
Oh,
and
nice.
The rest of the time, you could just not get paid, or you could take PTO.
Yeah. Everybody takes PTO because it's the right thing to do. So, what you been doing this week? What you been playing?
I have been continuing to play Final Fantasy Tactics.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I have wanted to turn on a console and play Elden Ring,
that game that shall not be named because you talk about it too freaking much.
We have another one of those games. We have
really?
Another perennial. This game is going to be talked about for weeks and months.
All right, so
it's really good. It's done really well on the iPad. Part of me wishes it had controller support, and it's unfortunate that it doesn't. There's quite a lot of tapping involved on the menus because you tap once to select an item and then tap again to confirm it. So what that means is when a menu pops up, I'm double tapping a lot. So it's a lot of doo-doot, 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 doo-doot. And that's a lot of tapping, and I feel like I could navigate the menus a lot faster using a controller. But beyond that minor complaint, it's really cool. It's really cool to have this tactics game that in the middle of battle, I can just hit the home button, shrink, open up an app, watch an episode of something on Hulu or Netflix, then go back to this and pick it up right in the middle of battle again.
Right.
The fact that it can do it, it's a game, that I played on PlayStation, and it's for all intents and purposes a console game, but that it acts like a mobile game in the way you can open it, close it, put it to sleep, do all that stuff is really cool.
Does it only has single player? It's not a multiplayer game, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
What was that game that we played on the 3DS? With
Fire Emblem?
Fire Emblem. How does it compare to Fire Emblem? Because they're both turn-based, right? With relationships between their characters and
the characters. Fire Emblem is definitely way more fleshed out with having this kind of visual novel-esque stuff in between each battle. This one doesn't have that. It just there are story battles, and then a new path on the world map opens up, and you could play those, or you could just kind of wander the map screen, getting into random fights and leveling up that way. And all of the characters you have, most of them are kind of not nameless. When the game starts, you kind of have a group of 8, maybe 7 or 8 characters that you just get. They're handed to you. They're your squad. And they're all the base class. And from there, you can kind of upgrade them into whatever. So I have 2. There were 2 male characters that were squires called Bertram and Walter. And in my head, they're brothers because they're side by side on the character screen. And so it's like,
You've made up a backstory for them.
yes, I've made up a backstory for them. And the same goes for this other pair of women that were both knights when I got them. And it's like, oh, they're sisters. Okay. Them two like are always paired together. These two are always paired together. And for the most part, those characters, like your general soldiers, they just get names, and then you can create whatever backstory you want as you train them, as you make them go through, as you change their jobs and stuff. But then there are some AI characters that at a certain point become part of your team. There's this one woman in particular who's real badass. And then she became part of my squad, and I could take her into the random battles, train her, change her classes, all that stuff. There's outside of like story moments, they don't do anything, right? Like this is, even though these are named characters, they could still technically die. Um, but they were named characters and will probably appear in a cutscene at certain points if they are in my battle party at that time. There was one fight that was actually pretty neat where I was fighting like this old mentor, and throughout the battle, if my main character had to be a part of it. And so throughout that battle, they would periodically stop and talk with each other, right? Like when it became his old mentor's turn, he would take a moment, say some stuff about how naive, the main character is, and then he would go and attack. Then it would come to my turn, and the main character would say something about like, "Oh, I trusted you. You betrayed me. Like you're not who I thought you were." And you have that back and forth during the battle. If one of the named characters, like one of the story characters, was in that fight, when their turn came, they would have additional little pieces of dialogue to talk about. If they weren't in that fight, we just wouldn't see that dialogue. So that's kind of how the game incorporates that. It's like, hey, most of the soldiers won't have any real role in the main story. The people that do, if they're important to the story, they'll be AI controlled and they won't be able to die. If like their role in the story is done, then they kind of become part of your squad, and then they're at risk because they can die, but also then they kind of become these background characters that can add commentary if they're in the vicinity.
Right.
But like what's really getting me to keep playing it is just the job system. Like I want one of the sisters who was a knight to become a samurai. So I've spent like the past week getting into random battles, like leveling her up, being like, okay, in order to get the samurai, I need to rank up the monk, the thief, and the archer class. So it's like, okay, but in order to get the archer class, I have to do this other one. So it's like, okay, make her an archer, rank it up 3 times to get a thief, become a thief, rank up 4 times, then I could get the samurai. But in order to do that, I have to be a monk. So I have to go back, be a chemist for a bit. That unlocks the monk. So it's like a bunch of switching jobs, ranking up enough so that I unlock another job, ranking that one up, and kind of going through a whole rigmarole of that. But now she's a samurai, and so now I'm like, let's continue with the main story. Now I've got my samurai lady. She's ready to cut people down. Let's do it. But yeah, that process of building a character, training them, building classes is just a lot of fun. It is the deep number systems of RPGs, right? Like RPGs are a lot of the numbers games of building out your character that way. And this one is very, very deeply that.
Got it. So another thing that you played is the only other game that I played this week was Crusader Kings. No, not that one. The multiplayer. We went back last Friday after the show, and we had a very long podcast. Well, I'm going to say podcast. We streamed.
Yeah.
We had a playthrough stream where Nick, instead of going and being my neighbor, decided to not be my neighbor and to be an antagonist to me.
I was still technically your neighbor.
You were my neighbor, but not a friend, not the friendly one.
No.
We weren't on the same side. We were on the opposite side of, and proceeded to not understand the way that multiplayer works in that game.
One of the first things I did, because I was like, well, let's see how this works. You had shown me in a previous stream how to start schemes on someone using your spy master. So I was like, let's see if I can assassinate Edie. So I started an assassination.
Not understanding that
scheme.
I don't have have an heir, and if you killed me, the game would be over because I'm hosting.
But see, what's more interesting, I think, is and this is again a part that I didn't get. Starting, like, the reason I chose you for assassination is because it had a very high chance of success. Whereas when I looked at assassination attempts for all the other leaders, it was all low. It was like 40%, 50%, and yours was like 80%. And I thought, well, let's do that one then because it's so high. But what you told me later, the reason it was so high is because you started a new character. And when you start a new character, they're like a weird blank slate that just gets inserted into the history of the world. So all the other kings and stuff, they begin having all these pre-established relationships, all these pre-established alliances, relationships with their council, which means their council likes them because you came in almost like this alien from on high with like no backstory or nothing. Everyone hated you because no one actually knew you. And so what I actually noticed through the hours we were playing is I would get these periodic updates of blah, blah, blah has joined your scheme against Chad of Chaddington, your character. And it'd just be like, doo-doo-doo-doo. And it popped up like 8 times throughout the 2 years that the scheme was in place, because that was all of your council members who were like, we don't know who this person is.
We don't like this person.
Yeah.
This person sucks.
So I agree. Let's kill them. And that's why it ended up. I feel like I don't get enough credit for not actually going through with the assassination. I got a pop-up. We got a pop-up that said,
what?
There's a pop-up that said, hey, we have an opportunity to kill him. There's a 93% chance of success. Do you want to take it? And I said no. And
no, I told you not to take. I had to convince you this is a bad idea.
Yes. And then I said no. And then you started like working and getting people on your side. And so the next time
I was walking Nick through the whole game. Like, I was literally watching his screen, not mine.
Yes.
So I wasn't doing any work to actually get my guys on my side. So they all still hated me even more than when I started because I was ignoring my game, to the benefit of him.
So when it popped up and I had a real chance of success, I said, no, let's wait. After that, you realized that I was trying to kill you. You got all the people on your side. The next time I got a pop-up about trying to kill you, it was like 5% chance of success. And that one, I said, let's do it.
Man, like, even when I explained to you what a bad idea that was, you still insisted on going through with it instead of abandoning it completely.
Oh, yeah. I didn't say let's not kill him. I said let's wait.
Right. Even though I said, you realize how this is screwing over you, not me. I mean, it's screwing over me, but it's completely screwing over you. Like, we will have to start over.
I want to see the systems of the game. Right?
Yes,
That's
but you
how
you can do that by working with me, not against me.
We can always start a new game. It's not that big of a deal. Like one game
All right.
doesn't have to last.
I am
like
putting it
8
to
hours.
the chat room. Chat room. Who's the asshole in this one? Who's the asshole? Me
Oh,
or him? I'm teaching him the game, and he immediately tries to destroy the game so that we have to start it all over again.
I'm not trying to say I'm not an asshole. I'm
With
just
the
trying to
argument
say
of,
that
I'm learning the tactics. It's not like I went through with it.
I'm pushing against the limits of what the game offers.
Okay.
Right? I want to see what I can do. That's the whole point of these games, right?
Yes,
It's
but there's ways that you could do it without sabotaging the person who's helping you.
I mean, you just happen to have the highest chance of success.
That's, you know what? That is exactly not what you want to do. You want to figure out how to increase your chances of success. And I could have shown you how to do that if you'd have let me been on board. I could have had you murder Ivar. And then you would have inherited all of Ivar's lands because you were, I believe, his heir.
Yeah, but I don't want to murder Ivar.
You don't want to murder Ivar. You wanted to
like
murder
that.
me.
Because me and Ivar are like that, man. We buddies. He respected
Thank you,
me.
Pissed. Thank you. Thank you,
He
Pissed.
respected me.
You were the dick. You were the dick.
Oh, I'm not denying that.
So anyway,
I think these type of games, they're most entertaining when a wrench gets thrown into the gear system.
they're most entertaining. Actually, if you ever watch any of these streams, they're most entertaining when a wrench gets thrown into a group of people by the game. And this game is exactly that. This game is surviving wrenches together.
Yeah, except that takes a long time. And we had like what?
Oh, it doesn't?
4 hours.
You just have to have a plan. If you have a plan and the game figures out what you're trying to work at, it'll throw a wrench in it. It'll absolutely do it. Like you finally get the perfect baby. The baby with all the traits, all the good traits. This kid is going to be a freaking monster. It's got all the good traits. It's got all the inheritable traits. You have just finely tuned your genes down to just a razor sharp edge. And it has taken you generations to do it. As soon as that happens, your kid gets smallpox. God damn it. Or you find out that your kid is not your kid. Your wife cheated on you. That happens. And that's just one small part of it. So,
I mean, later in the game afterwards, I went.
It's good for you for taking accountability, sir.
Oh yeah, and it wasn't just a dick to Edie. I was a dick to a lot of other people in the game because after the failed assassination,
They're not people, Nick. That's the AI. That's the difference.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I feel like I went full Mad King and just started imprisoning and executing everyone that I could.
Oh, at the end of the game, absolutely, because you wanted to get a rebellion going, but
Yeah,
you
I
had
wanted-
moved from where you were, which was precarious like me, because we were a feudal society, and you moved to a tribal society, a Norse tribal society, which actually glorifies much of what you were doing.
And
So
yeah, the
you
problem
had a
was-
distinct advantage for being a dick because being a dick is actually venerated in that society.
I kept trying to start a rebellion, and I did get a couple people to rebel against me.
It took a lot.
But like I kept imprisoning people, executing them, executing them. Their dislike for me kept getting lower and lower, but they still kept obeying me. And that's
Because
when you showed
your
me
dread was 100%.
the dread meter. It was like, oh, this is why they're all terrified.
Right.
But see,
And
that's what I want to know, because me trying to destroy my own game is like, oh wait, I've now learned how this other system works that I totally would not have learned about if I had been trying to play like responsibly.
right. And at the same time, understanding that you were playing Norse, that works way
that
more
works.
effectively with the Norse than it
does,
does with
but
the
like,
Anglo-Saxons.
If I
and
had
the
tried
Catholics.
to do that with Anglo-Saxons, it would have had a different result. That still would have
It would have
been
had the result that
entertaining.
I had.
Yes, and I would have enjoyed seeing that result as well.
Yeah. So if you are interested in doing that again tonight, I would love to host another game. we've still got
Maybe?
that game is technically still going.
That's true.
Although you've executed just about everybody. We could start as
No,
somebody else.
I executed something, and then my king like came to his senses and like reinstated a bunch of his council. He's on his way back.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So, but yeah, that should be on later tonight. Do you want to make a date?
Maybe I don't want to guarantee it because
It is Father's
I have a
Day.
lot
Do you
of
need to go over to your dad's house?
no, because Rachel's recovering from COVID.
How is Rachel doing? Let's
doing fine.
go. Let's roll this back. How is Rachel?
Fine. Like everything's fine out of quarantine. I do not have COVID, and apparently I never did get it. But like just to be safe, we're not doing anything for Father's Day this week. We're going to do it next week.
Smart. Yeah, everybody's
But-
getting COVID.
Yeah.
You and I, did I like tell you about the being face to face?
Yeah, you said you were helping a guy's dog, and you were face to face, and you were trying not to breathe.
No COVID. I'm
Okay.
good. I'm good. I dodged that bullet. So far, I am still not had it.
Yeah, ditto.
We may be the only two
The only two people in the world.
who don't get COVID.
I mean, the crazy thing is, we're in New York. We did everything together, right? We're side by side the whole time. She gets it. I don't. I don't know. I don't know how that happens.
There has been early stages of research, and it does make sense epidemiologically that there are going to be people who are, if not immune, more resistant to COVID. So yeah, total like unrelated, but sort of interesting fun fact. There was only years later, after doing a lot of research on the HIV virus, did they realize that there is a segment of the population that are immune to the HIV virus. Naturally immune. And doing research on them has traced it back to loosely people that are descended from survivors of the Black Plague had a naturally higher immunity to the HIV virus. Now they're trying to draw a lot. There's a lot of things that could possibly be drawn from that, but that is one the fact that they know. The why or the what that means still yet to be decided. But they've definitely drawn a correlation to descendants of survivors of the Black Plague to naturally immune to HIV. There may very well be a natural resistance that some people have. They're seeing early indications that is the case, but it's way. We are decades away from being able to draw any correlations there, but they are seeing early indicators that there are some people with a slightly higher resistance to COVID. I don't know if I'm one of them. I doubt that I'm one of them. My brother, genetically about the closest you can get to me is my brother. My brother has had COVID twice. My brother is also completely unfreaking vaccinated because he's an idiot. Every family needs one. Just as long as it's not me. So, Piss says interesting, and it says also, how do you know if you're Black Plague survivor descendant? There are, you know, like when you do that 23andMe, it can trace you back to, you know, what was it? Your RNA, your matrilineal mRNA, which follows your matriarchal line. And for men, you could have the Y DNA, the Y RNA, traced back to your patrilineal line. And there are genetic sequences that they've been able to, by looking at millions and millions and millions of people, kind of trace back to early origins, and that's how they are able. Because if you have an early origin in an area that was around, that they have identified around at a certain time in a place where Black Plague was, and you're here, by definition, you're a survivor. You're a descendant of a survivor of the Black Plague.
AC Wraith says the Black Plague digivolved to the gray block.
Yeah.
You know what? That's what my next Crusader Kings character is going to be.
What?
It's going to be a Duke or something who is sickly and infectious, but has some like super hit that like low trait is going to be offset by like some super powerful.
Right. You
trait.
can be strong of body, which is very expensive to get. You could go strong of body and healthy. Actually, I think if you go healthy, you can't go sickly. But there's other things that you can do to pump up your immunity and then also be sickly and frail.
No, I have to be sickly and frail because I'm like the gray block is the evolution of the Black Plague.
Shall we put us in Italy? Shall we go down to Italy and put us in Italy?
We could do Italy, and then I need to like spread my sickly influence all across Italy.
True. Sickly isn't something that is inherited, but frail is.
Okay.
So you could
do that. I'm gonna try to.
Or you could just inbreed the shit out of yourself and get hemophilia.
Ooh, yeah, that's good. And can I rebel against the church and make it like I want concubines so that I can father more people.
Okay, I will teach you how to reform your church or to break away from the church and create your own church that you are the head of.
Yeah, the Dark Church of the Gray Block.
I will join that church with you. We have to get very strong as Catholics and then do that, because otherwise all the Catholics will come down on us like a ton of bricks. Chances are there will probably be a holy war against us.
Oh yeah, that's to be expected.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, I can't guarantee doing it tonight just because we had moved a lot of stuff over here, and so we're still kind of unpacking.
AC Wraith, once again, with the links. He has a link to evidence suggests bubonic plague has a long-term effect on immunity genes.
Cool.
So, should we
that's kind of it for games.
Pop over into news, since that's all we kind of did?
Mm-hmm.
And then keep your eyes on this channel. I have finally figured out how to use StreamYard to stream our freaking show on all 3 platforms like we do this. It was just one of those moments, those aha moments of realizing, oh, this is how to do it. Now that I've had that aha moment, we're all good. So, we will be on probably later tonight to do something. And I could stay up fairly late because it is a day off. So I can actually stay up as late as you normally stay up, which will be really nice. So, should we hit the news?
Yeah.
All right. Let me grab some music and let's hit the news. This is the GameHounds News, the news, views, and commentary of the week in gaming with Gamer Reedy and Nick DiNicola. And our first item is...
I feel like it's good to start off with what we were talking about a lot last week, which was Starfield.
Mm-hmm.
Todd Howard has since done some interviews with IGN, I think it was, where he just expanded more on what 1,000 planets really meant. And it turned out to be what a lot of people expected, which is there's going to be a handful that are customized, handcrafted by the developers that are going to have cities with people. Then there's going to be some outposts, and then a lot of the planets are just a lot of the procedurally generated ones are just going to be rocks that you can just use to harvest resources. And yeah, he had said in the interview that like procedurally generating one planet and procedurally generating 1,000, it's like if you can do one, you can do 1,000. It's
Mm-hmm.
not hard. And yeah, when you consider like the No Man's Sky style of let's just create a block that has like random resources on it, that's easy to do. And it's easy enough to populate a solar system with those. And that, honestly, space probably has a lot of planets that don't have life on them. So it makes sense to populate a solar system with stuff that's just kind of busy work
Mm-hmm.
because that just kind of lends more to the vermicelitude
Mm-hmm.
of the world, of the universe. So, yeah, the truth is like when he says, "Oh, it's 1,000 planets," you're not going to visit all 1,000 planets. You won't want to visit all 1,000 planets. You'll go to like 5 main ones, and then you might visit, a couple others throughout, but you ain't visiting all 1,000.
Hey, we got Gully in the chat room. He says he's playing some tabletop games over here.
Nice.
So, yeah, that I mean, I think that I was actually. It's been a long time since I've wanted to write an article, and and I might not write an article, but I might do a YouTube video, kind of a realization that hit me in the aftermath of Todd Howard's of this exact thing at Xbox Showcase, and Todd Howard's grandiose explanations, or at least the teasers of like thousands of planets procedurally generated, blah blah blah, about how the rules of hyping your game have changed. And Todd Howard came on stage and used the old rules. And the old rules not only don't work, but engender suspicion.
Mm-hmm.
He said all the wrong things in this presentation for a populace of gamers that are not trusting of him, his company, everything. We have been burnt so badly, starting kind of, sort of. I mean, I do sort of blame No Man's Sky, being that was the first moment of like true, I think, like broad betrayal of hype. And it has continued and continued with and accelerated in the last 2 years, starting with Cyberpunk.
I think there's also...
And it has changed the way that games need to be promoted. And you can no longer say the old stuff because we do not believe you. Mm-hmm. And the more you promise, the less we trust you.
I think back, in the 360 era, when you were first starting to see this bloom of open world games, you could say the game is open and there's this much space, and it felt exciting. But now we've spent enough time with open world games that we know a lot of them are filled with busy work. We've seen like a bunch of poorly made, boring open world games. I'm reminded a couple months ago when Dying Light 2 was coming out, and the Dying Light Twitter account made this proclaim of like, our game is 500 hours long. And again, it had the knee-jerk negative reaction of everyone going, that's too long. I don't want to do that. That sounds stupid. That's dumb. And the Twitter had to like come in and recontextualize it and be like, oh, no. If you like 100% the game, it could take you 500 hours. But if you're just doing like the story and side quests, it's, 30 to 40 hours. That's actually how long the game is. And yeah, the shift from let's brag about how much game there is to now, if you do that, there's a line. Like in the IGN interview, Todd Howard clarified that like the game is expected to be longer. The main story is expected to be longer than in previous Bethesda games. And he said it will take about 30 to 40 hours. That's a time frame that feels very realistic with games we've come to expect.
Right.
If you say, 30 to 40 hours, people are like, okay. Even if you say we're making a grand, huge, big game, and if you want 100% it, it'll take you 100 hours. That still makes sense. I've put 100 hours into Elden Ring, right? Like that's a number.
We have collectively put in more than between you, me, and Goalie, easily over 1,000 hours in Skyrim.
Like that's a number that makes sense. When you say 500 hours, then it's like, when you say 1,000 planets, like there's a line there that you need to know that like there's a certain number that when you say it, people go, oh, that's big. I'm impressed. But if you go over it, then it's like, oh, that's big. I don't believe you. It's like this.
I don't think that it's necessarily a line. I think that it is an evolution of the consumer space. That when Todd Howard came out and talked in these very similar ways about Skyrim, we were totally on board. We were like, yes, abso-freaking-lutely. Yes, this is going to be awesome. We've matured. That we no longer will buy that anymore because we have been told that by others, and honestly, by them, and been burned. We're no longer little kids where you can just say, it's a magical place, and everything's going to be wonderful. We're like, yeah, okay. We're teenagers now. It's like, yeah, no, it's not. It's not.
I think
you didn't send Rover to a farm, did you?
I think back then the idea of open world was still new enough that you could say Todd Howard could point to that mountain in the distance and go, see that mountain? You can climb it. And we would still be impressed by it. But I remember by the time Breath of the Wild came out and like the CEO of Nintendo said that same thing about Breath of the Wild, people were rolling their eyes going like, oh, we've heard that before. Come on. Mm-hmm. The size is no longer impressive. What's more important is what you fill that size with. And that's what he didn't really talk about over the course of like this first show off of like, he talked a lot about how big the game is, but not a whole lot about what you do in that world.
Well, he did. No, he talked about what you would do. I mean, it was very clear that this is very story driven. He did clear that there's going to be building ships, that there's going to be building bases. And I think that we have now grown up enough as consumers to recognize that it's going to be really, really hard to put all of those mechanics all in and then throw in 1,000 planets. We don't believe in like candy canes and elves and all that other stuff that he's selling. And I think that is a lack of recognition of the sophistication that we have now as consumers. That sophistication has been won through a lot of freaking heartbreak. It's a lot of money, a lot of people spending a lot of money on pre-orders only to be sorely disappointed and enraged. So it took us a lot of money and a lot of pain to get there. But he brought an 80s commercial to a 2022 audience. And he's suffering the backlash for it. Had he come in with half the promises that he just made, I think people would be a lot less fearful.
Oh, I think
the amount of promises only made us more concerned about the game, not less.
I think to be upfront about the limitations of that promise, right? To say you can explore 1,000 planets is one thing. To say hey, we're going to have a couple of planets that are big, another planets that have side quests on them, and then a bunch of procedural generated planets that have maybe some randomized content on there, but are mainly there for resource gathering. That makes sense. Like you can still talk about that in a way that makes it sound expansive, but going into a bit more detail about what those 1,000 planets consist of does a lot to temper expectations and make it sound less grandiose.
Right. Well, if we could see that, oh, this is less No Man's Sky and more Mass Effect.
I mean,
we'd be okay with that. In fact, we would be happy with that.
Actually, at this point, I think
1 hour of 1980s commercials. Thank you very much,
wow.
AC Rain.
Like, yeah, you say Mass Effect, and I remember one of the big things about Mass Effect the first one is that you would go to a solar system. There would be like one planet that had a hub where you could go there. It's a city. That's where all the side quests are. Then you would have like a couple other planets that were just rocks, but you could land on them and you could drive your Mako around on them and maybe find like a scavenger or a pirate outpost, and you could fight them on there. But still, you could land on the planet and you could drive around.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really cool. Again, back when Mass Effect first came out, the mere ability to land on another planet and drive around, even if there was nothing to do on it, felt impressive. It felt like expansive in scope. But now we've done that before. I did that on Mass Effect. And in Mass Effect 2, they realized, hey, no one really wants that. So we still have all these empty planets, but all you do in Mass Effect 2 is just send probes down there to get the resources. You don't actually land on them.
Right.
Like, mixing No Man's Sky and Mass Effect makes a lot of sense, right? You have the story of Mass Effect with the procedural generation of No Man's Sky. They go together. They link. It works. But, like, just acknowledge that there's not a lot to do on those planets. I think if he came in and he
there
said
wasn't a
more,
lot of things to do in a lot of those Mass Effect planets except mine, and I loved it. I spent so many hours doing that. Oh my god!
I would have liked to hear more about the story. I want to hear more about the handcrafted planets, right? The places I'm actually going to be spending time. I don't want to hear about the 1,000 planets that I'm not going to visit 950 of them, right? I want to know about the central planets. I want to know about the places that I will be traveling in this universe. I wanted to know, like, when they showed off, all they did in this presentation is show off the scope of the game. And I think that's where they're running into issues because, like you said, scope is no longer quite the like awe-inspiring thing that it used to be.
Right.
They need to say what they're doing with that scope.
Right.
They need to show more of the world to actually make me want to spend time in that world.
And that goes back to they're hyping it the way that a game would have been hyped 10 years ago. They brought a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah. Like in the chat, Bitters Plus says, like, I want to know how much of a cool Boba Fett I could be. And yeah, that's what I want to know. Can you be a Boba Fett character, or is the story going to be linear enough, like a lot of Bethesda stories are, that you couldn't do that, right? Or would there be like a brotherhood of a dark brotherhood that you can join to become like a space traveling bounty hunter? That's the kind of stuff that I think people want to know. Not how many planets are there. It's who can I hunt?
Right. All right, enough of the 80s television. Still. Thank you for that link. That was enjoyable. Next item. I'm bringing some juice. It is the month of days.
I don't. What does that mean?
There's so many days. There's like Steam sale days. There's well, let's hit it. First off, the first set of days is going to happen on Xbox Summer Game Fest, which is starting June 23rd through 27th. So what? 23rd. We're talking about next week.
And this is not to be confused with this Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, which was last week.
No, this is Xbox Summer Game Fest. It's called the Xbox Summer Game Fest demo event, and it's part of this year's Summer Game Fest, the Xbox Summer Game Fest.
Oh, this is where the games that were showing off in Keighley's Summer Game Fest have demos on the Xbox. So the Summer Game Fests, plural, are related.
Yes.
They're just, for some reason, one is like 2 weeks after the other.
Yeah, so it's gonna start on June. Sorry, did I say June 23rd through 27th? I meant June 21st. Let me fix that for you. Stand by. June 21st through 27th. It starts June 21st, and it's going to be 30 different game demos available for unreleased titles for the XS and Xbox One.
That's cool. I remember I played a bunch of those demos the last year, and that was cool just to like actually have some of those stuff to play.
Yeah, just dink around with them. So yeah, it's going to be, they're going to be on the dashboard for a week, and some are going to appear once more on the demo channel later on, but a lot of them that this is the only time you're going to be able to see these demos. So if you see a demo that you want to play it immediately. Don't expect it to hang around. So a full list of demos hasn't been confirmed yet. We'll probably get it in the next few days, but one of them is Batora Lost Heaven. Another one is that psychological thriller Broken Pieces. That's the one in the French coastal village outside the flow of time. Another one is called Severed Steel. That's a single-player FPS with a stunt system and destructible voxel environments. Another one is Tinykin, which is you're going to be catching little creatures called Tinykin.
Okay.
So, yeah, 30 demos all coming up, and that is happening starting on, what was it? The 21st would be Tuesday. Then the next series of days is going to be Steam Summer Sale. Begins July 7th. It's going to run 2 weeks. Sorry, I take it back. It starts June 23rd. I wrote July 7th. But see, this speed kills. It really does. And reading is fundamental. It starts June 23rd and runs, let's spell June with a J, please. June 23rd, and it runs until July 7th. There we go. So then, while you're playing all these demos, you're going to be cruising the Steam Summer Sale. Of course, Steam Summer Sale, we don't have to explain much. Everything, almost everything, deep discounts. Money flies out of your wallet into your Steam library for a bunch of games that you end up not playing.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I just minded. I'm like going through my Steam wish list and
start
just
going through your wish list. Yeah,
clean. No, I'm
clean it up.
All the stuff that I had put on there but never actually bought, and a lot of stuff I bought on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. Clean it up. Get everything tidy. In fact, I guess that they're going to be also have a bunch of Steam cards and everything that are already starting to come out. So yeah, and that's gonna hold you over until the Steam Next Fest June 2022 edition, which is going on right now. That's what's going to hold you over until then.
What's the Next Fest?
That is thousands of demos available on Steam.
Oh, okay.
That is running through June 20th. So there's a lot of stuff going on Steam. There's the Next Fest right now, followed shortly by Steam Summer Sale. Then, if that's not enough, more days. July 12th and 13th is Amazon Prime Day coming. Of course, that is a day where not only games go on sale through Amazon, but it's just random tat and other useful things, as well as sometimes consoles. In addition, Amazon is handing out a number of games, including Grid Legends, Need for Speed Heat, and Mass Effect Legendary Edition to all Prime members. You're also going to be able to pick up Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, and Star Wars Republic Commando for nothing if you are a Prime member. Also, starting on June 21st, which is Tuesday, Prime members can grab a ton of indie games instantly, including 10-Second Ninja X, 8 Doors, Addling Adventures, Bang Bang Racing, Clouds and Sheep 2, Death Squared, Fatal Fury Special, Gianna Sister Twisted Dreams, Gone Viral, Hue, Manual Samuel, Metal Slug 2, Metal Unit, Pumped BMX Pro, Puzzle of the Year 10-pack, Rain World Road Trip 3-pack, Samurai Showdown 2, Serial Cleanser, Crow's Eye, Dark Side Detective Fumble in the Dark, King of Fighters 2000, King of Fighters 2002, and Metronomicon Slay the Dance Floor. All of those are available instantly for Prime members for free.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. So the next couple of weeks, that's what I mean by month of days. It's the next couple of weeks is going to be every single day, if not one thing going on, multiple things going on. Demos here, free games there, games on sale here. It's crazy. It's nuts. It's just nuts. So gird your loins, people, because you're going to be busy.
It's funny. Like, yeah, I know people make a lot of big deals about how like the PlayStation first party games are now $70.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, so much. It's a ripoff. Blah blah blah. Man, if you want to play games, there are so many ways to get a shit ton of games for free.
It's a not very well kept secret. Yeah. Between Epic Game Store, between Ubisoft Game Store, between Amazon Prime. Now, did you just mention Netflix? Netflix is giving out free games?
Oh yeah, that's right. Netflix has officially started their game.
Yeah,
things.
we looked into it. You can play Exploding Kittens on the phone, like multiplayer, with your friends or with strangers. So the same way that Words with Friends used to work, same thing.
And I guess you have to upgrade to the latest iOS version. But then once you do, you go to the Netflix app and you can kind of browse the games that are associated with them. And then when you click on one, you go to the App Store to download it.
Right.
So they're not playing it in the Netflix app. They're just like using
it becomes an app
Netflix.
on your phone.
Yeah, you're using your Netflix. Netflix is just offering you free game downloads in the same way Amazon does.
Right, and it's a special
it's like a special Netflix version of it.
Yeah, let's see. I'll show you my save screen, my search screen. Come on. So if you can see, Exploding Kittens is, you can't really see it because everything is all reflective.
I can see the icon.
Yeah, it's an actual app, and I don't know if you can actually see it. Oop. If you can actually see, there is a little Netflix icon at the bottom of it. Upper right hand corner.
It's tough to see because it's red on red.
Right.
But yeah, like the Netflix app has a little Netflix logo in the corner.
So it's actually a Netflix branded app. And then once you're in that app, then you have to sign in with your Netflix account to use it. But once you do, then it just works perfectly. It's a bunch of different games. Also free with your Netflix subscription.
Mm-hmm.
And Good Old Games have been giving away games during their sale as well. Current one is Beautiful Desolation.
Yeah. What's funny is AC Wraith put that in the Discord. That's a game I was actually looking at on Switch because I was just browsing Switch and seeing what's all on sale one time, and that game was on sale for like $3. And I was looking at it going, this looks kind of cool, but it's a top-down isometric point-and-click game. I don't know how much it'll work on the little tiny Switch screen, so I didn't buy it. Then it turns out it's on sale for free on GOG. And what I just learned now, it's from the developer of this point-and-click horror game called Stasis that I played and wrote about years and years ago.
Back when you were with, what was it?
Back when I was writing for Pop Matters.
Pop Matters, that's right.
I wrote like a Halloween horror article about Stasis. Still to this day, I think one of like the best point-and-click horror games I've played. Same developer as Beautiful Desolation. So that actually got me very excited to play that.
Yeah. It might be interesting. If there weren't so many games I really want next year. No, I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a New Year's resolution. I'm not going to make it. I'll put it out to you guys. You tell me if you want me to do it, and I'll try to figure out if it's actually doable. If I can go a whole year without buying a game, only paying for like subscriptions, I will count Xbox subscription being one of them, but without changing any of my subscriptions that I currently have, see if I can go an entire year without buying a game and only playing free games.
That would be an interesting experiment. That's actually really cool. But you're right. There might be a lot of games that like, oh, I really want to play that.
I really want to play that.
But that's a cool experiment.
And keep a track of all the games that you can play, that you have played in that year, none of which you actually paid for.
Yeah.
Because you can easily play a lot of
absolutely.
games.
Yeah. And I just saw browsing Steam, like the developer of Stasis and Beautiful Desolation. There's a sequel to Stasis out on Steam, like on the Steam Demo Fest now that we had just talked about.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. All right. So your next item.
My next item, and thank you, AC Wraith, for linking to the whole article I wrote. Diablo Immortal has been out for a while. And they have measures of how much it has made. And so I have kind of a different take on this. It has made $24 million in 2 days. And a lot of the articles I've read about this have done it in the tone of, wow, that's a lot of money to make in 2 days. Which, granted, that's pretty good. I would happily take $24 million in 2 days. But when you consider like the top tier mobile games, like you hear about things like Candy Crush or Clash Royale, and the amount of money they make in a week or a month, the number that Fortnite brings in, 24 million in 2 days.
Candy Crush
doesn't seem that high.
Okay, I'm looking at an article from 2018, which was when Candy Crush was very much in its heyday. Mm-hmm. It was making $4.2 million a day.
4.2 a day? That's it?
Yep.
Okay.
Candy Crush generated in 2020 $1.19 billion. So, yeah, okay. That comes out to $4.2 million a day across the App Store and Google Play, according to Sensor Tower Intelligence estimates.
So then that actually is quite a lot.
Now, how much does Fortnite make in a day? $2.7 million a day.
Really?
So, are you sure it was 2 days? I want to say it was 2 weeks. Let me,
No,
because
no.
that
The
was
Diablo Immortal made that in 2 days. Was the article? Um, like I have it open right in front of me. Oh no, shit! It is
2 weeks. That's what I
it is 2
thought.
weeks.
All
Okay,
right,
I was
all
wrong.
right, all right. I knew that 2 days, and you kept on insisting.
I thought for sure it was.
There we go. So yeah, 2.4 million in 2 weeks is 2400000. That is 24 million, right? Divided
Is like
by 14. So that is 1.7 million
1.7.
a day.
Okay, so that's not as big as like the top tier stuff, but also not bad.
Right. Still, it's a lot. It's
It's a lot, but it's also like, look, it's a Diablo game. For all intents and purposes, it got pretty good reviews. Like it's a well-playing, well-made Diablo game.
up to a point.
Um, and a lot of people downloaded it. I want to see what it's like in a year, right? Or in not just a year, in a month. I want to see how it works in a couple months because that's where the
Its
real
lifespan
success
is
lies.
determined by when Diablo 4 comes out. The minute that comes out, this game's dead.
Because like I remember Halo Infinite launched and it was huge popular success. Everyone loved it. Like, oh hey, look, this free multiplayer is great. But now, about like 8 months, 10 months later, the whole thing is turned over on it. I want to see. I expect Diablo Immortal to be successful out of the gate because it's a Diablo game, and honestly, targeting a mobile audience is good because like they don't mind the horrible exploitation microtransactions. That's par for the course.
Yeah, maybe.
And
Sort
and
of.
a lot of
I sh-
and even
it's not it's not that they
but
don't mind.
it's
It's
not that they
that
don't mind, but also I think
they
a
have a
lot of
high
the
pain threshold.
and I think a lot of the mobile audience isn't like people that are going to be reading gaming news on a daily basis, right?
They're not going to realize the black hole that they have gotten themselves into until
Yeah.
it's too late.
Or they don't care about it. I want to see how successful it is in a couple months. I think that will be the bigger determining of its success.
Yeah. So you remember that guy? I can't remember his name. Legendary Crest. I'm looking it up because it was like somebody spent $6,000 on the game and didn't get a legendary crest.
Oh yeah.
He it ended up that he had to spend $15,000 before he finally got a 5-star gem.
Wow.
So we know where some of that $24 million came from. A significant chunk.
Yeah.
So yeah.
At that point, I would. Okay, so here's a philosophical question about microtransactions. Is it better for a game to have random microtransactions so that you could pay $15,000 and still maybe not have the best character? Or is it better to be fully pay to win, where if I spent $15,000, I would have a character that could completely squash anyone else? Is it better to be
Put your
purely
answer
pay to
in the
win,
comments. If you're
or is it
watching this,
better to be
put
pure
the
gamble?
answer in the comments. That
you
is
want-
an interesting philosophical question.
Yeah. Is it better to pay to win or better to gamble?
Right. It's better. It's best for neither. So you're saying which is the lesser of the two evils?
Yeah. Yeah. Because like
Um,
that's where this goes. Like
That
either
that is the
microtransactions
philosophical argument on
has
this.
to go to one of those.
Right. Because if somebody had spent 15,000, like if it were the other case, if Diablo Immortal had been a pay to win game, people would be complaining about, you have to spend $15,000 on your character. Oh my God. And then people that are whales could just buy their way through, and they would be complaining about that. And I don't know. This seems worse. this seems worse, and here's my argument. At least for someone who has more money than sense, particularly for addictive personalities and children, that you paid $15,000 and you know where you're going and you know you're going to get what you're going to get, I think that's better. Even if it is pay to win.
Game.
Morally, it is better because when you can spend $15,000 and literally get a single item of which you need thousands in order to completely trick out your character, to actually to get to your final form of your character, that is predatory. And on top of that, it is morally repugnant to allow children to play a game like this because it just sets up a future of being inured to gambling.
Yeah. And in the chat, AC Wraith has an interesting point that I like. If it's single player, pay to win is better because who cares if someone paid and got more?
Right.
Like, it doesn't affect anyone else.
Right. Yeah. Who cares if it's play to win? Yeah. I mean, nobody cares if you could, pay to win on a I mean, that's sort of what happens in a lot of PvE games, a lot of RPG games, is you can pay to win.
Yeah. By the 2 times upgrade path in Assassin's Creed.
Right. So yeah.
So yeah, Diablo Immortal, pretty successful. I want to see how it stays successful because
I think that there's enough. By the way, should we check in on Diablo Immortal's Metacritic?
Yeah.
Because remember, it was what 0.2 last week.
It was 0 point something. It was below 1.
It was the worst rated game. It's 0.2.
I honestly didn't think that Metacritic could go below 1.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Metacritic worst rated games. Stand by. Oh, that's of 2021. Sorry. See, that's all PC. It'll give me a sec. I'll give me a second. I'm gonna have to look it up because I have to do the filtering to get away from PC games.
I've got news then that I can talk about.
Okay.
Square Enix has talked about the next in the Final Fantasy VII Remake series.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, what they announced the next game is going to come next winter, but they also announced that it's going to be a trilogy of games. So it kind of makes sense. I know when the first one came out, people were wondering exactly how long is this remake series going to be, because Final Fantasy VII was a pretty long game. They have finally come out and said it's going to be a trilogy. Part 2, which is titled Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, is coming, and it's going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive next winter. I actually think the title is pretty good, because if the first one was Final Fantasy VII Remake, this one's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the next one can be Final Fantasy VII Re-something. I think it makes the subtitle work because a standalone Final Fantasy VII Remake is such a dumb title. But if they make a trilogy and it's all Re-something, I think that kind of retcons the title into being part of a more logical than just, hey, we couldn't think of anything to name this, so we just named it Remake. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That the remake was a really good game and a good remake. I'm excited to see what they do with the sequel.
All right, so I'm looking at all iOS games, and stand by. I have to go here. All right, iOS games. This is iOS games, and it actually can go to 0.0.
Wait, Final Fantasy 2 Pixel Remaster was like 0.6.
Kiss Justin Bieber 0.0.
Oh,
This is just all iOS games, so there's a lot of just shovelware here. But
oh, there
no.
it is. There it is. 1907. But oh yeah, the Pixel. Wait, why do people hate the Pixel Remaster to Final Fantasies?
Don't know. They don't like them. Don't like them a bit. So yeah, Diablo has gotten better. 0.4 now. NBA 2K19 on iOS is now rated below it.
Okay, is that? I guess that's a win for Diablo.
Jesus. Kiss Justin Bieber. Kiss Justin Bieber. This is the app you've been waiting for. Your chance to kiss Justin Bieber. Kiss him and see how he reacts. He may just ask you to be his girlfriend, tell you how awesome you are, or talk about something else, which means he really doesn't like you. Anyway, it's Diablo Immortals keeping good company with Kiss Justin Bieber.
Okay.
Let's see. My next item is, let's see. We'd already talked about the days, the week, the month of days. Oh, hey, big announcement. Did you talk about Dragon's Dogma yet?
No, I didn't.
Dragon's Dogma. Capcom has officially announced during its not E3 presentation, 10 years after the original, there will be a sequel to Dragon's Dogma, so far named Dragon's Dogma 2. So the game was confirmed to be in development. And that was part of the Dragon's Dogma anniversary video that was played during the Capcom Not E3 event. The series director Hideki Itsuno has been confirmed as running this project, so it goes back to its roots. He's not doing another Devil May Cry. He is doing a Dragon's Dogma 2. That is about the only thing that we know about it. They didn't reveal any gameplay, any details, any release date, nothing of the sort. But yeah, 10 years ago, and to celebrate the anniversary, there will be a sequel to that game.
And that game is actually on sale now on like PlayStation and Steam, probably Xbox too, for like $5.
Worth it.
I've never played it. I've heard enough interesting things about it that I've been curious about it.
Yeah, I remember playing it, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah? Okay.
It
maybe
was a
I'll pick that up.
long time ago. I barely remember, but I do remember it being like, oh yeah, I remember that.
All I remember is that you could like jump on the back of monsters to attack them.
Yep. Very action and acrobatic focused. So yeah, that made a lot of people surprised the hell out of people, because of course it had been kind of like rumored about, but they're never gonna make it. It was like Half-Life 3. It's not gonna happen. But then it is happening, and on top of it, it's happening with its original director, which made everybody even happier, because it's not being kind of shuttled off to somebody else. It's doing it the right way. So cool. Very happy about that.
This makes me remember. Do you remember Deep Down? Way back when the PlayStation 4 was just coming out, Capcom announced a game called Deep Down. And then showed nothing of it. And I just searched up the Wikipedia of it to kind of see. And I guess at first they announced it, kind of with the PlayStation 4. Some years later, they're like, oh yeah, it's going to become a free-to-play game then some years later they said like, oh yeah, the scope of it has changed. Some years later they extended the trademark. Some years later, I guess like the creative director left to go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no idea. No idea what that game was. No idea what he planned, but I guess they never like the thing is they never announced that they canceled it. That's the crazy thing that has like is weird.
Well, kind of like Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Oh, yeah, that game that's also never coming out.
Also a game that they keep saying they're working on it, but it's never coming out.
And they had a trailer. I don't think that's real though. I think they just created all those CG trailers and stuff and it's all fake.
Right. They just did it to get us to shut the fuck up because they
Ubisoft
were too
is
busy
never-
building Assassin's Creed games because I'm sure their bro council hates the idea of Beyond Good and Evil 2 because nobody wants to play a girl.
Ever since that one dude who was like he was a high level guy that sexually harassed a lot of people and then got fired.
Right.
Since he left, hearing that like he had like personally impeded a lot of development on games because he personally didn't like fantasy games.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a bit more confident about the future of Ubisoft without him there, because when I look at Ubisoft's output, it's a whole lot of generic military stuff, whole lot of Tom Clancy shit. So I do feel a little bit hopeful that they might, in 5 years' time, be able to put out something that's not Tom Clancy verse. But
yeah, well, I mean, they moved forward on Skull and Bones, and apparently he was the person that was in the way of Skull and Bones.
Well, yeah.
He didn't want pirates. He wanted Tom Clancy.
So, yeah, I remember back in the day, I loved most of what Ubisoft put out, and then they kind of slowly changed direction.
Right, they became the Tom Clancy
sucked.
and even Assassin's Creed. The Assassin's Creed started to not be good.
Yeah.
Because it was being run by somebody who was building games that only he liked, and if he didn't like it, he didn't want it built.
Yeah.
It's, that's what happens when you are a sociopath. If I don't like it, it's not good. So anyway, I mean, Ubisoft has other issues that still have yet to be.
Oh, yes.
I mean, Yves Guillemot knew that guy was there. Yves Guillemot held the reins and let him go because that's what he did. So there's still a lot of rot in that company that has yet to be rectified. My next item is, let's see. Oh, more leaks. Another kind of sort of big leak came out this week. Modern Warfare 2 demo. Speaking of tactical shooters and FPSs, the Call of Duty, normally they have information of when, like, about multiplayer at the end of their trailers. They did not have that, or even at least a confirmation that there would be an alpha or a beta test. There was nothing of that. But this week, Amazon, there was a listing noticed that Modern Warfare 2 is on pre-order, which does not surprise anyone, but in their pre-order information, in their details, it may have leaked that the Modern Warfare 2 demo starts August 15th. The reason being is that when you look at the pre-order, it will say that the pre-order has a bonus of getting you access to the beta. This usually happens with pre-orders. But in their language about access to the beta, they say the pre-order bonus is only valid until August 15th. Which leads you to believe that August 15th, there or abouts is going to be when the beta happens.
Yeah.
So, and you could see that right now. If you go, I believe on the pre-order on Amazon right now, let me pull it up and see if it's still there. Stand by. Oops, I did not want to go to my company's freaking website. Let's see. I'm pulling it up. Working hard for you. Here we go. So if you look at here, and I believe it is in the details here somewhere, it will say that let's see, Call of Duty pre-order, any platform. They've taken it out. Codes will be sent 72 hours after pre-order. It doesn't say. It doesn't actually say now. But at one point, it did say in its description that that it was the pre-order was only valid until August 15th. So of course, everybody's like, "Oh, so that's when the beta is happening."
Yeah. I will say, quick side note, as not interested in Modern Warfare 2 as I am, I gotta say that logo, that's a really well done logo. The fact that it's an M with a W next to each other and the two vertical lines make the Roman numeral 2, I gotta give kudos to whoever designed that. That's well done.
Yeah. So, yeah. Good on you. Good logo. I don't know about how good the game is.
Yeah. I feel like I want to go and play a Call of Duty game again just because I haven't in a long time. But just I want to go play through the single player games. But I remember there was one game that was for free on
I cannot bring myself to play an Activision game. I just can't.
There was one this was before all the Activision stuff came to light. There was one of the Black Ops games was free on PS Plus or something. And I started playing the campaign. And I got hit with this glitch where I couldn't progress. And I tried to reload a save, and I kept hitting that same glitch over and over again. And I realized I would have to start the campaign over if I wanted to get past this glitch. And it sucked all my desire to play it away. But I remember really enjoying those campaigns for a while.
Oh, interesting. That AC Wraith says on that about item section at the top, it says pre-order and early access to open beta first on PS4 and PS5. So it looks like PS4 is getting that first. I am looking at that.
I think PlayStation is getting it first. I don't think it's going to be first on PlayStation 4 and then PS5. I think it's first PlayStation consoles, then Xbox.
Then Xbox consoles. Yes, you're absolutely right. That is there. In fact, let me pull that back up. If you will look right there, pre-order and early access to open beta first on PS4 and PS5. So it looks like PlayStation's getting the beta first, then Xbox. Yep. Agreed.
Well, speaking of Activision news, in case you were excited about Modern Warfare 2, let's temper that excitement by reminding you that Activision is a bunch of fuckers. Because an Activision internal investigation found that Activision actually didn't do anything wrong.
No! What a freaking surprise. What? A, they shouldn't be running their own investigations. B, they really shouldn't be reporting on their own investigation. It's one thing to do an internal investigation, but have at least enough self-awareness to not put it out there. Just keep your fucking mouth shut. It has taken so much heat. Oh my God, taken so much heat that Activision found that they're not guilty. Talk about sociopaths.
What's also terrible about this is the report about how they didn't do anything wrong, about how they quote, the board and its external advisors have determined that there is no evidence to suggest that Activision Blizzard's senior executives ever intentionally ignored or attempted to downplay the instances of gender harassment that occurred and were reported. So what's funny is they're not saying that that stuff didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
They're just saying we all didn't know about it. How
We
could
didn't
we?
intentionally ignore it.
We didn't intentionally ignore it.
unintentionally ignored it.
But also that it goes on to say, while we have come to realize over the past several months is that there are many truths about our company, individual and collective, experimental and data driven, and sometimes they can be difficult to reconcile. And it goes on to complain about how Activision is the target of unrelenting barrage of media criticism. So it's not just
Rightfully.
it's not just
Rightful.
that they say we didn't intentionally do anything wrong. It's that they then go, we're the victims.
Right. We've been victimized by media talking about us.
Unrelenting barrage of media criticism. So much of it is like it's bad enough that they announce, oh, we didn't find anything wrong, but then that they go on to play the victim as well.
Right. The right to say
Yes.
that. Yes. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Here's the world's smallest goddamn violin for you fuckheads.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, given what freaking, like, fainting couch Nancy's they are about taking some criticism about something that they did wrong, I imagine how those sociopathic men would do in a world where they were treated like their workers. Could they hold up to that kind of pressure? No, they couldn't. Because if they can't handle to a bunch of people being upset about something they should be upset about, what would they actually do if they were actually being discriminated and harassed in the same way that their employees were? It goes back to sociopathy. They don't get it. They don't get how hurtful and painful this is. Because I'm not feeling it, then it must not be bad. These are the kind of guys who would pull wings off of flies and fucking think it's funny. Sorry. I just, every time, the more that Activision opens its fucking mouth, the worse it gets for them. Truly, who is their chief information officer? That person should be fired. That management of public relations should be fired, because there is only one good thing that Activision should be doing right now, and that's shutting the fuck up. There is nothing that they can say now. It's since probably day 2. There is nothing that Activision can say to make their lives better. And in fact, every time they open their mouth, they literally say the worst possible thing they could in their own defense.
Yeah.
That is why I don't care if Modern Warfare makes me fucking espresso and bacon and eggs every Sunday morning. I'm not buying it.
You won't buy it even if the special edition comes with an espresso making drone?
Nope. No.
I do notice that like they've stopped doing those special editions that come with the absurd extra thing, right?
Yeah,
One of them
yeah.
came with night vision goggles.
Night vision goggles.
one
I really
came
wish
with
I had
drone.
gotten that. I'm not going to lie. I really wanted that.
But
I
you know-
really want, and they were shitty
know-
night vision as well. But
You
I
know they
really did
weren't
want them.
good. They weren't good night vision goggles.
No, they weren't. But just
No.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, the Pip Boy. The Pip Boy. Just, by the way, thank you, Sean Cullen. Sean Cullen is still listening. Thank you. I still have, and I look at every morning because it is in my closet above my underwear drawer. I see it every morning. My
at
Pip
least-
Boy edition, and
at least that's
it
a
warms my
cool-
heart.
At least that's a cool collector's thing. Lame ass night vision
Oh,
goggles,
I
like
think it came with a
broken ass.
drone the next year.
Yeah, like bad drones, bad night vision goggles. That's not like a cool collector's item. You're just looking at going, I wish I had a better one.
Who doesn't want a pair of night vision goggles? All right. So my next item is because I'm starting to feel my inner James Stephanie Sterling. So we need to move on because I will punch a bitch. Let's see, what's my item? Oh, hey, during Microsoft's X Games showcase, a developer I actually feel sympathy for and empathy for. Ukrainian developer GSC Game World did reveal its new trailer for Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl. It was set to release, as you may or may not be aware. GSC Game World, it was based in Kyiv, Ukraine. Was being the operative word. As soon as the Russians invaded and Kyiv came under attack, everybody left, and it was a mad dash. They are now in the Czech Republic, and actually have officially said that they haven't just moved there temporarily. That is going to now be their permanent home. So they up and permanently moved offices, but they were doing their best to not only get themselves, their company out, and all of their data out, but all of their employees out, because of course not all of them. It wasn't like they just hired a big bus and went over the border. Because it was originally set to come out December 8th of this year, unsurprisingly, and unfortunately, they have announced that it is now officially delayed till 2023. Quote, some of GSC Game World's employees have decided to defend their country while a part of Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl's development continues in Kyiv. The company has also established a new office in Prague, Czech Republic, where much of the game's development will take place. So not only are they dealing with moving office, but I guess they still have a bunch of their employees in Ukraine, in Kyiv, and a bunch of them, in addition, are fighting in the war. So, yeah. GSC, I know everybody at GSC listens to this show. Take all the time you need, guys.
Yeah.
I've never played a Stalker 2 game. Not my kind of game. I will be buying your game the minute it comes out. Trust me. Even if I never play it, I'll be buying it. Even if it is worse rated than Kiss Justin Bieber, I will be buying that game.
Everyone knew this was coming. It was just a matter of when.
Yeah. So, take all the time you need, guys. By the way, speaking of taking all the time you need, I don't have a banner for it, and it's not official. Did you read the article with the interview of the producer for Cuphead? Oops, sorry.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, dog. I wasn't that squeaky toy was not for you.
Yes, the one where they're like, "Hey, if it takes a while to come out, it does. We care about like our employees' well-being."
We're right.
Crunching.
We have no problem with delaying games. We will take as long as it takes to put the game out without crunching our developers, because that is more, without crunching people. We will not do crunch. It's like not just the blah blah blah. Here's the date it's going to release, and then secretly crunch everybody. She's like, it comes out when it comes out.
Yeah,
we're going to delay
really
it as
good.
long as we need. So yeah, makes me feel better about Cuphead. Still, I'm not playing the game because I don't think I even get past the first level, much less any DLC.
I should go pick up that game. I feel like I would enjoy my time with it.
Yeah, and thank you, AC Wraith, for providing the link to the trailer for Stalker. And let's see, what else have I got? You got anything else?
I've got two other stories. One of them comes from Discord. Bungie has reached I don't know if they reached an agreement, but a cheat maker that Bungie sued has agreed to pay $13 million in statutory damages. And this comes after last year when Bungie and Riot teamed up to tackle a different cheat creator, and that seller agreed to pay $2 million in damages. So this is a significant increase in damages.
How much was the damages on this one?
13.5 million. And this comes after the cheat maker was named Elite Boss Tech, and one of the individuals of Elite Boss Tech issued a series of denials and demanded to face a jury, but none of that really worked out, and eventually just agreed to pay 13.5 million. That's a lot in damages.
It's a lot in damages, but usually damages are a function of money, of like how much money they made. Like, you know, if somebody stubs my toe, that's a bad example. If somebody stubs their toe in my front yard and they sue me, they're going to sue me for what it cost for the toe. You're not going to get a $13 million judgment for somebody that made $500 on something.
I mean, it
suggests that this cheat code creator made a lot of money on cheat codes, which is
It's not so much that Bungie lost money; it's that people were paying this company to get the cheat thing, and like
we are in the wrong business. I didn't think that anybody could make that much on cheat codes that warrants $13 million in settlement.
I mean, it's not just cheat codes; it's cheating in multiplayer, right? It's like wall hacks. It's being able to see where people are. Yeah,
but still, I didn't realize that's how much. Like, we're talking big money. I figured money, but not that kind of money.
People love to cheat.
People really love to cheat. So yeah, it was a Destiny 2 cheat code. Jesus, yes. $13 million. And that was a settlement?
Mm-hmm. And I have a friend who started playing Destiny 2 recently, and he says it's good. He's enjoyed it, but because all the content has been vaulted, because they keep putting out new expansions, and as a result of that, they've basically locked away old content. The Destiny 2 campaign, you cannot play anymore. And so he said, like, story-wise, he has absolutely no fucking clue what's going on, because he'll go up to a character and that character starts talking about events and people that are in content that's been locked away that he doesn't see. And he's like,
that's a shame.
I don't know.
That's a real shame that that's the case.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is.
Huh. So, my next item is, was it Andrew that played Valheim?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he really, really liked it, but good news, friends. Coffee Stain and Iron Gate have announced that Valheim, the Viking survival game, is going to Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, spring 2023. And it will be cross-platform, and it will be Game Pass. It's also going to come to the PC Game Pass catalog this fall. It's going to be launching this fall on the Microsoft Store there. So this was all made during the Xbox Games Showcase Extended Showcase, the same place that the Stalker information came out of. They had their showcase, and then they had the Extended Showcase for like more independent games. So yeah, the Microsoft Store PC release and the Xbox console release are both going to have full cross-play support at release. So you're going to be able to play with your friends not only on Xbox or console, but also on Steam. And that game has sold 10 million copies in just over 1 year, and they've had a player peak of more than 500,000 players. So super, super popular. And I'm sort of into it. As long as it's not Rust. As long as it doesn't become like just a bunch of cheaters cheating on each other. So, but that sounds kind of cool, especially with the cross-platform play, because now I would be able to play it with
Yeah, we would actually be able to play together.
with Andrew and play together. Yep. Speaking of which, Jay, the game guru, who I've been started playing multiplayer Crusader Kings with, had picked up. Was it V Rising?
Yes, yeah, that's another big indie hit.
Yeah, that's out and sold a lot, and he says it's surprisingly good. I'm tempted. Not
Hey, we
too tempted, but sort of tempted.
We should all three play a game of Crusader Kings, and I'll attempt to assassinate both of you.
I will
We'll
tell
see.
you right now,
We'll see who can assassinate who first.
Jay will destroy you. Not that he's so much better at the game than I am. I'm probably better at the game. Is that he takes things personally. Like, I take things politically. Like, somebody tries to kill me,
Okay.
I consider that politics. Somebody tries to kill his son, he will murder every single member of that family.
Good. That's what he should do. That's how
Yeah.
it should be.
I don't take the.
No.
I'm more political. I don't take that. It's politics, just the way it happens.
No, you.
And
they-
I
they-
would rather, if it's more politically expedient for me to keep that person around so that they can actually work for me instead of against me, I will keep that person around. Maybe
I
that says
would.
the difference between you and me.
Yeah, yeah.
I play
would-
the long game. I'm eventually going to crush everyone.
Sure.
I'm eventually going to crush everyone. Whereas
Yeah,
you
I
just
don't-
want to crush
I don't wanna-
everyone immediately.
Well, it's not that I don't want to crush anybody. I
Yeah,
just
you
want to
do.
crush the
Yes, you
people
do.
that
You
that
love
hurt.
to feel the power of crushing someone. There was a little bit of like, when you set off your murder scheme, there was a little part of you that was like, kill her.
Oh, of course.
Just
otherwise I
wanted to
wouldn't have
kill
done it.
for the sake of killing. Because you could.
Oh yeah,
It's the difference between boys and girls. Just saying.
but yeah.
Not all
also-
boys, not all men, not all women.
No, but I fully understand if someone has an assassination attempt on me, I would then make it my point to try to kill them and their entire dynasty.
No, you do assassination tip. You. I come from a world that the best revenge is living well. The best revenge is becoming an emperor, and then slowly over a period of time, not just killing you, but eradicating your house.
Oh yes.
Slowly over generations, so that generations later, your family feels it.
Yeah, no, I want the guy to feel it. I want to do an assassination attempt on his children, then on his wife, then on him.
No, that's too easy. I would rather have 3 generations later saying, why is this happening to me? Why are we so cursed? The dog has found the squeaky toys. Sorry, apologies.
The dog is taking revenge on the squeaky toys.
So let's really upset the dogs.
Ooh. They see.
She gutted that's what
Oh.
happened is she gutted a squeaky toy, and I picked it up off the ground and had it next to my computer, and I was just kind of fumbling as I was talking and went like that, and that started it. It's now a thing. Edie just likes torturing children. I don't like torturing children. I like children looking up at the sky and thinking, why? I want to feel the crying of many generations.
Yeah, see, it's not a matter of vengeance, it's a matter of patience.
I think that vengeance is absolutely a dish best served cold and multi-courses. It is a multi-course meal. Anyway, how did we get on this? How did we get on, like the dark side of Edie's
Crusader Kings
Crusader Kings.
it just
that's right.
brings it
Yeah,
out. It just brings it out.
That's kind of the cool thing about it. So let's see. Do I have anything else? Let's see. I talked about Stalker. Talked about Call of Duty. Talked about Diablo Immortal. Talked about Dragon Dogma. Talked about Prime. Yep, that was all I got. You have anything else?
Yes, I have one more story. So recently, what did
Nothing. Recently?
Recently, Resident Evil games on Steam got an update for ray tracing, 4K resolution, higher frame rates, and 3D audio to match the re-releases on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. At the time, a lot of people were worried that this update would make the game unplayable for lower spec computers and would break mods, and it did. But thankfully, Capcom has given people and patched in the ability for users to roll back the versions to back the games to a previous version of the games that can be played on lower end computers and that work with mods and everything like that. They even give you a step-by-step process of how to do it through Steam. And it's very technical. Like you have to go into Steam, go into properties, go into a menu and select like a DX11_non-RT to roll it back. But the fact that they give you this like very clear step-by-step guide on how to do it is really, really nice and user-friendly. And
Yeah.
just the fact that they gave people the ability to fix their game after an update potentially broke it.
That is kind of nice. And especially since it was kind of a my bad kind of issue.
Yes.
A lot of companies wouldn't consider that. They'd be like, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you did there, thank you for the link. There is how you can revert on Steam your game if you need to go back and save it from Oblivion. Easy Ray says you right click on a game and edit the properties. It's not all that technical.
Well, okay, yeah. Like Steam does do a lot of that, but I don't know, just the fact that you change a version of a game is a technical step that's a little far, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah. It is. A lot of people don't feel comfortable fucking with a game because generally speaking, companies frown on that.
Yeah. And the fact that I didn't know you could roll back versions of a game on Steam. So the fact that Capcom put out the step-by-step menus to show how I can do it on Steam is nice because that's not even an option I knew existed.
Yeah. All right. I have nothing else. We've been going for a couple of hours, so we should probably wrap this up. Is there anything else you want to add before we close out the show?
No, I'm very tempted to buy a used PS5 controller from GameStop because it's $30.
Really?
And that's an insane price because those things are like $100.
Yeah. He says, AC Ray says lots of games do it to gain access to beta versions.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good price.
I'm very tempted.
I'm very wondering how they got their hands on that many used ones and why they're selling them that cheap.
Oh, it's GameStop. They fell off the back of a truck.
For all intents and purposes, sort of did. Yeah. That's the one controller that I have two controllers for the PlayStation, so that's not that big a deal. I've already got two. It's the Xbox that I don't have the extra controller for that I sometimes wish I did. All right. So, anything else before we close out the show? I'm trying to think if there's anything other than saying thank you to our patrons. And also, remember again, what day was it? I have to look it up again because I keep forgetting. July 17th, we have no show. I'm going to be up in the mountains Well, in theory, it's going to have Wi-Fi, so we may be able to play some games together. But I don't know if it's going to have the kind of Wi-Fi that can handle all this. So we'll see. I don't even know if I'm going to have enough Wi-Fi to actually do my work because I'm not taking the week off of work because I'm foolish.
Okay, July
17th.
Okay.
So we'll be, but just keep that in mind. Keep that in your, back of your head. All right, so let's close this out. Wait a minute. I need my music because if I can't do my music, can't close this out. Let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 643. We did record this on Sunday, June 19th, 2022. I've been Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick DiNicola. Ways to get a hold of us. GameHounds.net is our website, and GameHounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this show live every Sunday, almost every Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Facebook and Twitch, we are The GameHounds. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, V-I-D-S, as in videos, all one word. We would love to have you join us, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on any of those locations next week or any week after that we actually have a show. Now, if you can't listen to us live, of course, we are on demand at any of those for the video cast, or if you want to listen to the show as a podcast, you can go to pretty much anywhere that has a podcast. On Facebook, not Facebook, on iTunes, on Google Play, on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, on Stitcher, so many others. Just go looking for it. If you don't find us as The GameHounds or GameHounds Podcast, then do me a favor. Shoot me a message at gamehounds@gmail.com. I will make sure it goes to wherever you want it to go. If you ever want to donate to us again, I want to mention our Patreon. Thank you to all of our patrons. You absolutely are legends, and make sure that this show happens, because without you, there would literally be no video cast of this show. So thank you. You can find our patrons at patreon.com/gamehounds. Also, if you're watching, as a last thing, before we close out, hit the like and subscribe button, the star button, whatever you need, wherever you're watching us, the thumbs up, leave us a comment, whatever. We would love to have you do that. It is very helpful for us. Algorithms love it when you do that. And finally, don't forget our Discord. There's our Discord link. If you are listening as an audio show, just go to our Facebook page. It is right there front and center at the top of the page of our Discord. That's where we get a lot of our news topics. That's where Nick gets them. Everyone who posted that, thank you so much. Have a great week, everyone. Be safe, be well, wear your mask, wash your hands, and we'll talk to you next week. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
.640, let's see, GH 643 raw. All right, we have our show in and done, and we are super excited for that.
Says that he would donate platinum to our Warframe account. Is there any way that we can get the Warframe account to transition into a different wallet?
No, we're not doing the Warframe account. We tried. It didn't work out for us. We tried. Bitter says, "Do you get to the Cloud District?"
Probably not.
Thank you. Please, everyone, be very safe right now. The COVID may not kill you, but boy, everybody that I know that's gotten it has made them sick as fuck. So please be safe, be well. The dog absolutely knows that I have closed out the show.
Oh, you.
That
lost
dog
it.
knows. She knows when I'm talking, when I say, thank you for listening to GameHounds. She's like on it.
AC Wraith reminded you, you do still owe a 12 to 24 live stream of Warframe. You made a promise.
I did.
So just wait for crossplay.
Yeah, let's do that. The dog is literally staring at me like, so I should go. I know who my master is. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week. Have a good one. Bye.